Starting, all attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this door webinar. My name is Nima Persadig, and I am your host today for showing how the door application in BIMeye works and the functionalities of the door module. I hope that everyone can see my screen. Otherwise, you can send a message on so that I know that you cannot see the screen. So let's start. So when you purchase BIMeye, you get all of these apps, and these apps basically are for working with different objects in a project. So today we're going to focus on the door module. So I'm going to explain how the functionalities are of the door module and how you can work with the door module in your project when handling door objects, and how the information can be handled in BIMeye in a very efficient way. And then you will have a central place for all the information through the different phases in the building process. So as the people that haven't been working with BIMeye or haven't been heard what BIMeye is, I'm going to explain shortly what BIMeye is with this PowerPoint presentation. BIMeye is a cloud-based central database server. And what that means is that you will handle all of the information in the cloud, where you can connect your model throughout the different design tools that you are using. So are you using Revit, ArchiCAD, or IFC? You can connect those models to BIMeye and start handling your information with BIMeye. Just a second, I'm just gonna. So I'm sorry for that. So back to the presentation. So BIMeye is a central data place for handling information. So you can, as I said, is a cloud-based database service. So it's not a software that you download. It's a plugin for your design tool. And those that are working with the model or have the model on their computer will download the client. And I will show you shortly how that works. So when you start working at BIMeye, the first thing you need to do is handling all of the parameters in the project for the door objects. So we will start by making that configuration in BIMeye, and then we're going to set up all of our parameters in the project. And then we're going to also decide how the synchronization process will go for the different parameters. And I'm going to show you shortly of how that works. But mainly it's what you do when you're going to connect your model to BIMeye. And as you see in this picture, the green color of this the green color here is information that we have synchronized from model to BIMeye. So in the middle of this picture, we have the database. So this is basically the database. So we have decided that some of the information from the model are coming from are coming from the model to the database. So what information you want to synchronize usually is, I would say, it's the type of door it is, or what kind of room does the door go to and from room, and the geographical and the geometrical is basically what I talk about. And the geometrical is the width and height of that door. So we can decide whatever information we want to synchronize from the model to the database. And that is, again, what the green color indicates. And then we will have a bunch of parameters that we don't have in our model, but we want to create those parameters in BIMeye. And why do we want to do that? Well, because it's more efficient to work with the information in BIMeye, because you can handle all the information in one place, and you can also invite different consultants that are uh, mainly the job is to add also information to the project for the doors. So this is a very convenient to work like this, because many of the external consultants don't have the model, but still they need to see what kind of information that comes from the model, and they need to add information to the project and to the doors on different parameters. So what this other picture of the orange indicates, it's parameters that we have set up in BIMeye only to be added in BIMeye. So the green color comes from the model. So this green information comes from the model, and then we have the orange color here is information that we have been added in BIMeye. So it can be whatever parameters. I mean, it's so much different, but for example, it can be the color, the description of the door, or maybe a different, like what kind of ID if you want to add it in BIMeye. So it can be whatever parameters you decide to add in BIMeye. So when you have added all of that information in BIMeye, and you have information that comes from the model, you will start to invite different consultants into BIMeye. And why do we do that? Because, well, usually in a door project, we have our lock lock consultant, and basically their parameters are mostly like I would say from 15 to 30 parameters that they need to add to the door. And usually the lock consultants don't have access to the model, but they need to have the information of the doors so they can start adding their information to the door objects. So inviting the external consultants, in this case, it is the lock consultants. So they will. So we have also set up all of their parameters in BIMeye. So let's say we have set up 15 parameters for the lock consultants. So we have a lock in this middle. So in BIMeye with rights, with the roles, so we can decide who can edit what parameter or what parameter group. And I'm going to show you this later on how that works. But because why do you want to do that? To handle who can edit what? Because not everybody is supposed to edit all of the parameters. So different consultants have rights to edit different parameters. So in this case, we work like this because we want to have organize the parameters for who can edit what parameter. And the external consultant, and in this case, the lock guy, will start adding his information in BIMeye to the doors. And it's all of kind of information about the lock and the type of lock. And so all of that parameters is we set up in BIMeye that it belongs to the lock consultants. So when he started to add that information, all of the other consultants can see that information, but nobody can edit that information. And we have seen that it's very good to work like this because we can control, and it's easier for everybody that are involved in the project to know what kind of information they are they need to edit and they need to add. Because if you log on to BIMeye, you cannot add information on all the parameters. So you easily know that, okay, these parameters belong to me. So now these are the only ones that I can or have access to edit. And when you have done that, we come to this part that are very efficient for the production phase for many different causes. So we have the reports, the door reports in this case. So the door reports, we configure them in Word. So whatever Word can handle regarding the layout, we can do. So we will create the door report, and then we will link it to the database. And in this picture, you see that the green comes from the model, the orange is information that mainly the architect has added in BIMeye, and last but not least is the log consultants parameters. So we basically what we do is we are linking the report to all of the parameters in the database, and we can decide where the information should be reported in the door report. And if something changes in the process of this information handling, well, what we do is we will write out a new report. If we go back to how we worked before in the traditional way, we were always adding information in Word or in Revit, but and still the lock guy sent information to the architect to add information in Revit. So now with BIMeye, we can always everybody is responsible for their own parameters and information. We can also have the possibility to export information to Excel. As we all know that Excel is a powerful format, the CVS, and we are using this a lot in different projects and for different causes. We can use to export information from BIMeye to Excel for different causes. As I said, it can be for calculation, it can be for purchasing, for we're planning the project about the information that we in the database. And you can also, when you import the information to Excel, you can also edit it in Excel and import it again to BIMeye so that the database will be updated. And so that is a possibility too. And in the middle of the project or at the end of the project, you maybe want to communicate the information you have in the database throughout IFC. So we can say to the database that, okay, send the information back to the model. So you can decide what kind of parameters do you want to send back to the model. And we can also decide or say to BIMeye that they're going to create parameters in the model. So this is a good functionality that I love, actually, that you can send back and forward the information, and you can also create parameters throughout the BIMeye from BIMeye to the model. And this is I would say is a changelog that we have. So basically what a changelog is that when you start working, you will start by making a timestamp. And the first timestamp will make a copy of all the information that is in the database, and then you will start working. And when your work is done, you can take another timestamp, and then you can see the changes that have been, between these two timestamps. And this is the result of that. And we have many different views of this timestamp, but this is the one report that you can get out of the changelog. So you can see that the red here indicates that information that are deleted, and the green that are new, and the blue indicates information that have been changed from to. So this is a very good way to see how your own work and also controlling the revisions in the project. So that was shortly about how BIMeye works and the functionalities of BIMeye, and now we're going to go hands-on and see how BIMeye works and how we can handle BIMeye in the projects. Sorry for this. So, as I said, the only thing you need to have to log on to BIMeye is a web browser and internet. So when you have that, and what we recommend for you guys to use is Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome. So you will start by typing apps.bimeye.com, and you will come to this page. And then you need the credentials to log in. We at Symmetry will give you the credentials, and we will connect your credentials to a project that you have been invited to. So you will type your credentials here, you will press log on, and then the second part is to choose what kind of projects do you want to get access to. And of course we have decided that you have been invited to one project or 3 projects, so it depends, but you will choose here your project that you want to work in. So I have a project now for this demo, and I'm going to choose that. And now when I log in, this is the first page of BIMeye. Those that have the model that's going to synchronize the information from the model will have to start by downloading the client. And you can download the client. Let me just switch this to English, and I'm going to explain all of these buttons. So you will start by downloading the client. You will press on download. You will come to this page. You will choose the design that you're going to work with. So in this case is Revit I'm going to show, but the process of handling information is the same regardless if you're using Revit, ArchiCAD, or IFC. But the method is different, of course. But the thinking and BIMeye works at the same for all the design tools. So you will press on Revit, and you will choose your version that you want to work with. And when you have chosen the version, you will download the MSI file, and you will make that installation. And when you have installed BIMeye on your computer, you will see here when you open Revit that you have a BIMeye plugin called BIMeye. So that is the first thing you need to do. The second thing that you need to do is to connect the model to the right database. And what connects the model to the database is the project grid. So we know that in all of the databases, we have one unique project grid, and this is the project grid. So you will copy this grid, go back to your model, and you have to sign in this model to the right database. So you will press here, sign in. You will write your credentials here, and then you will paste that grid here, and you will give this model a model name. So an important thing here to remember, when you have decided a model name, you cannot change this model name throughout the process. So when you have decided a model name, that's the model name you have to have always until you're done with the project. So because when you log on here, it will say successfully logged on into BIMeye, so it will close down. But when you go to sign in again, you see it's locked here. So you should never go and open this lock again or change the model name. So you decide it once and stick with it. So we log in now. So now what we have done here now is we have logged on the model to BIMeye, but we haven't synchronized yet. We'll go back to BIMeye. I'm going to explain a little bit about the buttons we have here. Down here, we have the different apps, as you see. When you press on one app, you will see if you have a model connected to the app. So as you see here, Door Manager, I have one model connected and I have synchronized that model. So you have the synchronized process. You can see it down here, like how many objects do I have active in this project. If you delete objects, you will see it on discontinued objects, and who made the last full sync. You can have the progress of the synchronization and how and when the last synchronization was made of. So if you press off these buttons here, you will see that okay, IMA made the last synchronization. So it basically is a little bit information about how you can synchronize and the process regarding that. We can edit information of the project. So you can add information here about the project by pressing on edit here, and all of these information that you see here, you can connect it to your report, to your door report. So it's good to know for everybody that you should never go into a door report and edit manually. All the information is handling in BIMeye, and we're going to connect that to the report. We have a different buttons here. The information button, you will come to this page, we have our support button. If you have any problem with something, or you don't understand something, you can put us support here. But it's good to know that the support case is not education. No, I mean, you cannot send and how you're going to do stuff and send it on a support. The support case is only if it's something that doesn't work. So take that with you. Otherwise, you have the our help here. You can press on our help, and then we have documented all of the things that I'm going to go through today in our help. So be free to look here what you are looking for. If you don't find the things that you're looking for, then you can put a support case, and then we will answer that for you. So this is mainly the first page here. So we're gonna go to our door module. So when you press on these blue buttons here, you can choose the door module. I will press the door, and I will come to the first page of BIMeye. Let me just do this. So this is basically how it looks when you log on. The first thing, as I said, the parameter configuration, that's the first thing you need to do to know what kind of information you want to get from the model. I'm going to just shortly show you how that works. We go to parameters, and here we have fully control of all of our parameters in the project. If you press on the name, you can sort it out ascending, and then you will see name. It's all of the parameters name in BIMeye. So we can look at this now, name in model. So I have said I've created one parameter that's called litera. And I've said that this parameter should get its value from the model, name in model. So, and have decided what kind of parameter from the model should it get its value from, mark. So if I press on this litera parameter, I will get the property dialog box for that parameter. So it's here I can configure how the parameter would react. So we have the name that's shown in BIMeye, litera, ID, and then we have said that we want to synchronize all the values from the model, and what's the parameter name in the model? It's mark. And down here you see that I've said synchronize to BIMeye yes. So it will synchronize the mark value to BIMeye, and I've said yes here. And you have to also decide if it's a instance or type parameters. So that's the difference between ArchiCAD and Revit. In Revit we have instance and type, and in ArchiCAD we have only instances. So if you are working with ArchiCAD, you don't need to think about it because it's always instance in ArchiCAD. But if you are working with Revit, you have to know, is it a type parameter or is it an instance parameter? So that's the differences, I would say. So we will submit, and also is the same with the name and number. So to room number, it will get its value from Revit, and that parameter in Revit is called number, and so on. So the door type ID, I will get that from type mark from Revit. And then we have also the frame height and frame width. So we can see all of the information about the different parameters here. So you can also search if you say yes here, you will get all the parameters that get its value from the model because it's synchronized to BIMeye, yes. So all of these parameters are getting its value from the model. So this is the first thing you will do before you start working. When you have done all of this parameter configuration, you will go to your model and you will make the first sync. When you make the first sync, it's important that nobody was in the model. So remember that. And it's also important that you don't have anything marked when you do the first sync. So press escape and tell all your colleagues to log out or synchronize to the central so that everybody drops all of the objects that they are holding on, and you will go to the app that you want to synchronize, and in this case it's the door app. I will start by pressing on door and synchronize with BIMeye. The first dialog box that appears here talks about exactly what I mentioned before, that everybody that are working in the model should synchronize to the central. if you are working in collaboration. So we're going to press yes here, and then we will get the second dialog box. Usually when you do this, you will be automatically on this button here, synchronize model information automatically using presets, and that's the one you should be standing on. And you don't need to think about anything else because you have made your configuration in BIMeye about how the parameter should react or synchronize. So the only thing you need to do later on is to say start. And then it will go through all of the doors and it will see, okay, what kind of information have we set up in BIMeye to synchronize to BIMeye. And then we will get the information that we can see here that 168 doors was exported to BIMeye. So I will close that and I will go back to BIMeye. I will go back to my information dialog here to see the information. As you see here in the door, the time, last full sync, it was right now, and then that it was a full sync. The differences between full and partial sync is that when you make a full sync, you have nothing marked in the model. So I will always recommend to make a full sync. Do not work with partial syncs. You can test to make partial syncs, but that's not a method that I recommend. Always when you make a sync, you make a full sync. So remember that also. So we will go back to the door module, and still I don't see nothing. The first thing you will need to do is go to select models and levels. Here you will see now the model that you have been connected to BIMeye. The name is what we decided in Revit, the model name that I said that it's important that you don't change it in the process. So that's the model name, and then we have the different floors. So we want to start by saying to BIMeye, okay, I want to present the whole model, or do I want to present only information on level 2? So that's up to how you want to work. But usually you can say, okay, I want to take the whole model, and then you can filter out the different levels. And I'm going to show you how that works. So I take the whole model and I say save. And directly you will see information popping up. You see we have the different columns here: level, litera, ID, room name, door type, and swing direction. What I choose to present here is up to the user. Every user will make their own view list. So the next step will be that you go there. You will press on that button, and then here you can make your view list, your own view list of what information do you want to present. So if you see here, level, it's there. So that's the parameter. All of this that you see here is all of the parameters that we have set up in the project. So what parameter you want to see is up to you. But you will start by adding a new view list. So you will press add, and then you will write your name or whatever you want to call that view. But we can make one more time. I will say support and save. And then you'll see I can choose now what kind of parameters do I want to see. So if I choose a litera, that is ID, a room number, to room number, and from room number, and swing direction. If I press save, well, that's the information I see. And you can also, with drag and drop, choose the order of these parameters. So if I say the swing direction should be first, then it will pop up there. You can have several view lists. So I have 1 and 2 that have been made. So I will go back to my BIMeye. I will press save. So that's basically the first step that you need to do. You will select the models and levels. The whole model I have chosen to see, and I've created my own view list and decided what kind of parameters I want to represent on this page. And we have different buttons here. I will just shortly go through them. Always remember that the plus sign is adding a value. So always in BIMeye, it's adding a value. You can copy a view list that don't belong to you because you have many, maybe in your group you have two that works with BIMeye. So if I choose to publish this list to different users, I can do that. So if I publish this, press on this I, you see the it gets activated. So I press on the I and save. Now all of the project members that are invited into this project can see my view list. So when they go here and press on this button here, they will see that there is a view list called BIMeye. They can see it and they can use it, but they cannot edit in that view list. The view list is personal. As you see here, the owner is Nima, but you can, if you want, to publish your view list to different users. So that's basically what this button does. It publishes the list for other users. And if you hover over the buttons, you will see what they do. So it's quite easy to know like how this button works when you just hover over them. We have a, I would call a search set save here, and I will show you shortly how that works and why you're going to use that. And I use that myself a lot when I work with BIMeye because I find it very good because you can save different search sets in this process, and I will show you shortly how that works. But now I have created my view list, chosen the parameters I want to represent, and ordered all the how I want to present them with drag and drop, and I will say save. And we have three main functions in BIMeye that make it so efficient to work here. It's the filter function, is the group function, and we can also sort parameters. So I will start by sorting. If you want to sort a parameter ascending or descending, you're going to start by pressing on the parameter. If I go here, you see I hover, it gets a red. If I press on that, it will sort out all of the information on level. So level 0 will be first, and then comes 1 and 2. If I press add it again, it will be descending. So it will start with level 4 now and will go down. So this is the first thing. And you can only sort on one parameter at a time. You cannot sort on level and then on litera and then or so either way you have to choose level or litera or what kind of information you want to sort on. It's up to you. But remember that it's only one parameter at a time. The second function is to filter. So I can filter out what I want to search for. If I write here plan 2, I will get, of course, all of the objects that are on plan 2. These columns, all of them, you see they have a search function, so you can search on all of the parameters if you want. So I can, for example, search for level 2 in this case, and I can go here and say, okay, I want to see all the hallways, and then I will grab all of them. The other thing I want you guys to remember, it's down here. Here we have 168 objects, rows. So each row here is one object. So we have 168 doors. So when I have filter out on level 2, I'll see that we have 20 doors on level 2 of the total 168. So this information, I use that also a lot, so you can see how many objects do you have now in this project or in the hallway on level 2, for example. So that is the filter function. The third function is the group function. All of these parameters have these 4 squares. So level, have, litera, all of it. So you can group on that parameter. So if I press on this, it will get blue, and I will group on level. So I can see here on level 2, for example, there are 41 doors. Level 3, there are 42, and level 4, there are 39. So, and you can always double check that. So if I If I ungroup, pressing on it again and search for level 3, you see 42. It's the same as grouping. So I have 42 doors. So if I group on it again, I have 42. So grouping is very efficient when working in BIMeye because you want to grab as many as possible so that you can give a add or you can add a value as many doors at once. So you don't want to work with one door at a time. So make your selection with grouping and searching, and then you can add a value on several doors at a time. So I will show how I would do that in BIMeye. So for example, I maybe should group on door type. I want to see how many different door types do I have on this project. Well, I have, as you see, many different, and I want to work on level 2 for now. So I'm going to search for level 2. So on level 2, I have these door types. And I can see here that D9, I have 26 of them on level 2. And as you see here, we have the orange marks here. The orange marks indicates the values. So if I press on this orange, I would see that on the ID, I have all of them have unique ID, and that's of course. And also if I choose to see on the swing direction, well, I can see these 26 doors, 15 of them are left swing and 11 of them are right swing. So you can easily see the information by pressing on the orange marks. So I have made a group on door type and I have filter out on level 2. So the next step will be I have made my selection. I want to add a value on these 26 doors at once. So I will press on this row. When you press on that row, you will come to the property dialog box for those doors. We have the instance parameters and we have the type parameters, exactly as in Revit. So this is what I'm showing now is for the Revit users. So when you press on a door, you have your instance parameters here, and when you go to edit type, you have your type parameters. So that's for Revit. When you work in ArchiCAD, the only thing you need to think about is the instance parameter. That's where you're going to add values when you work with ArchiCAD. But in Revit, if you want to add a value on type parameters, well, you need to go to this type to add value. So I have 26 door selected now. I made my search with grouping and filtering out the selection I wanted, and I pressed on those 26 doors at once. So now I'm inside the property dialog box. The first thing I want to explain that you see that we have different groups here. The different groups you can handle exactly how you want in a project to organize your parameters. And this is also, as in ArchiCAD and as in Revit, the same type of thinking, because in Revit, when you create one parameter, you can decide in what group should it belong. As you see here, we have dimension is one group, and then we have parameters in that group. It's exactly the same as in BIMeye. If I press down the 02 here, you see that this is one group, and I have put parameters in that group because I want to organize the project with the parameters. Otherwise, all of the parameters, if they don't belong in a group, they'll be, not organized, and that's not good in a project. So if you want to make these different groups, you will go to parameter groups, and you see here I have the different groups. So 02, if I press on 02 and see the parameters, and this is all the parameters that I have decided that they should belong in this group. How you want to create a group, it just add a new parameter group. So you can add one in information, you give it a name, and then you have to decide if you are a Revit user or ArchiCAD user. If you're an ArchiCAD user, as I said, it's an instance group, but in Revit you can choose, okay, this group, is it instance or is it a type group? So that's basically what the parameter groups are. for organizing. We go back to door instances. So I have filter out, I have grouped, and I have sort. Now I'm going to show you this part here, the search set. I can save this search set I've made. If I press on the green add value and I say level 2, for example, and I save this. So now I have saved this search set. So when I maybe some other day I log in and I remember that what was the grouping and filtering from the last time? Well, I have saved that. So I can go here and say I want to see that search set and press save, and then it will pop up where it was before, the search set I made once. So that is how this search set works. We will go back to these 26 doors. So I will press on that row, and now I want to add a value. I'm going to see what we can add a value. All of these parameters, as you see, we can add values on them. There is one here that I cannot add value. And why is that? All the parameters that gets its value from the model, you cannot edit them in BIMeye. And that's because we want to have, a little bit of security of, okay, we know that if information comes from the model, you shouldn't be editing it in BIMeye. If you want to change that information, well, you need to do that in the model. So that's why it's grayed out. But the other ones, they are set up for adding the values in BIMeye. So I can say the ventilation. I can add information on ventilation. The green is always add. So I will say just support for this case. So now I've said that the ventilation should have the value support for all of these 26 doors. The blue button, if you want to change that value, so maybe it was support 1 or support 2, so you can press that and rename that value. So that's basically what the blue button does. I'm going to save and close. So now I want to get my parameter ventilation. I want to see that. So I will go to my view list and I will look for my ventilation parameter. And there we have it. And I will, with drag and drop, I will take it up and I will put it maybe there. And then we can see that we have 26 doors here and all of them had the value support. So basically that's how you make your selection and you add value as on so many doors as possible. So that is about adding value. Let's just take that parameter away. The next step, I will go back into these doors because we have a little bit different buttons here I want to explain. So the instance parameters, we have them here. The type for Revit, we have them there. And then we can have the attachment and pictures. You can upload pictures and attachments, images in BIMeye. Attachments and images. So if I attach an image in BIMeye here, add attach, I can give it this a name and I will search for the file and I will upload the file into BIMeye. Later on, I can then go and attach that image to these 26 doors. So when I go to attach, and I will find it here if I search for it because I have uploaded that picture in BIMeye. So that's the attachment. The picture is that you can export images from Revit to BIMeye. And unfortunately, we don't have that time for me to go deeper on how you can attach and make those views. Because this is a webinar and we only have 1 hour, I'm just going through the critical functionalities of BIMeye. If you want to go deeper, well, then it's an education that needs. So, and that we can discuss with you can discuss that with my colleagues that have set up this webinar. So the next step, I will go through the different buttons we have. if I delete all of this, there is one quick way of deleting the grouping and the filtering. I will show that. So I have filter out and I have grouped. This little button here, if you press on that, you can clean grouping, and that means that it will clean this grouping, or you can unselect things if you have a door selected, or you can clean search. They will delete all of the searches. So I will say all above. It means everything, clean everything, and press OK and yes. And directly it will clean up all of the filtering and grouping I've made before. I will go back to level 2. We have this combine values. It's if you want to combine two different parameters. I have set up now one to just show you that it's possible in BIMeye to do. So we have litera and we have the room number. I have said that I want them to be one value and put this under ID. So I will go to create values combined and I will say ID. This you have to prepare them, and there are on our help how you can do that, and you will press OK. And it will say all of the 41 doors. Yes, because I have filter out on level 2, so I have 41 doors on level 2. So all of them, yeah. And I say save. And immediately you see that it took the litera and then it added the room number into one value. So it's a very efficient way to work with object IDs in this way. We have create report. If you want to create a report, you will press on create report and you say report. Yep, I want to create a report. Okay. And then here you will choose your report that you have in the project. All of the reports, you will find them under report templates. So it's here that you upload your report. And then when you choose a report, you will give it a name and create by, and then you will create the report. So basically it's nothing more than that. So that's the way how you create report. You can export and import information from to Excel, and that I'm not going to show, because if I press Excel, I'm going to export all of this information and all of these columns to Excel. Well, I can do that quick just to show you how that works. So as you see, so this is an Excel, and you can add information in Excel and you can import that again if you want to work like that. So this is all the information and all of the columns that you saw in BIMeye. We have a copy data from. So this is a very good tool to work with. Also, if you have, for example, I maybe want to prepare one door. So I will go to this door and I will go to instance parameters and I will find, let me see, the color. I'll say this door have the color green, and I save that. And I save and I cancel. So we will see now that, no, was it the right door? Let me see. Green. Submit. Okay, maybe it's the wrong ID. Let me see. Sorry for that. Only a 3. Is that the right one? So I can show you with another parameter instead. So do with copy from to. If I have prepared one door and I know that, okay, I want to copy the values that are for this door to the other doors that I have. So I will say mark 1, copy that, and I will say I want to copy to these doors, for example. When I say copy data to, I can choose here what kind of parameters do you want to copy. And I wanted to show you that if I copy, for example, color, So all of these doors, we get the same color as this door had before. So basically this button is quite good to use, and it gets your work pretty fast when you want to edit values. We have also edit all selected. You can mark doors and you can say I have 5 doors selected. See down here, and I say edit all selected, and I will come to the dialog box for editing the values. As you see here, 5 doors selected. So that's basically all of these buttons. We have the timestamp, as I talked about. When you take a timestamp, you just press on that and you say OK. You will give this timestamp a name, maybe before production phase or something. I don't know. Production. And you can type a description and you will press save. And you will see that it will automatically jump on the revision archive. And then you have the timestamp here. So you need to at least have 2 timestamps in the project to make that change log. And when you have 2 and you want to create that report, you will go to create report, change log, OK. And then here you're going to decide what kind of parameters do you want to see that have been changed between these 2 timestamps. So I can say I want to see litra, have it been changed? And then you will choose your report here. You will give it a name, and then you will choose the different timestamps that you have, so from and to, and then you will get your report easily. So that is the timestamp button. If I want to clear all of these out, I go here again and I say unselect selected. So it will be unselected. So I have been going through all of these buttons, and also we have talked about the revision archive. When you make timestamps, you're going to find all of the timestamps here on the revision archive. Report archive, when you create reports, they will come under report archive. You will find all of your reports that have been created under the report archive. Attachments and images, you can upload attachments and images and then connect them to a specific door or many doors. And then we have our parameter group list. This part mainly it's our log consultants work a lot with, and it's a very efficient way to work with the parameter group lists. And I'm going to talk about it now for a few minutes before we end this webinar, because the last 5 minutes, if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer your questions. So I will go into the parameter group list first to show you how you can handle these lists here. We go to parameter groups. Under this group, and I will check the parameters there. And then you will see I have many parameters in that group. And I have decided that one of these parameters are the guiding parameter. So this is a combination that you can make. So one parameter can only be the guiding. So I've decided that this one is the guiding one. So when I've decided that, you will automatically see this group pop up here. So if I press on this group now, you see that the guiding is first here, and then we have all of the other parameters coming after. So I will add a combination. So I will press add, and I will add a value and say this combination will be called type 1. So when I choose a combination, all of the other parameters will be activated. So you can give those a value. Type 1, it should have maybe a lock that's called ASA1, for example, and maybe this the lock exit maybe should be something. I'm not a lock specialist, so I will just, and then maybe this will have something else. It will have start, for example. So you will say that type 1 should have all of these combinations. You can add values for those combinations, and I will save that, and it will pop up here. So you will create all of your combination you have in the project, and then when you have done that, you will go and maybe put a combination on one door. So for this case, I will choose one door and I will go to that group, and then I can choose that type 1 and automatically the other parameters will follow. So this is a very efficient way of working. It's not only for the law consultants. You can find different methods to use this combination work if you have information that you know that always the same for different for the parameters. So it's very good to work with this combination tool actually. Report templates. You can upload different reports and you will do it on the report template. Categories. This is basically that you can activate different categories. So if I press 1 here, 1 means in use, 0 means not in use. So 1 means that only the door objects are activated for the. So when I sync from Revit, it's only the doors that will be synchronized. If I search for window, window, I can activate windows too. So that means that when I synchronize next time, the windows will also follow to BIMeye. So you can activate different objects, not only doors. It's up to the project how many objects you want to handle in BIMeye. But under categories, you can see what objects are activated or not. Parameter combine, it's what I told about the combine parameters. So I've combined the ID with the room number to one parameter. So it's a very efficient way of doing that, and you can also handle that under parameter combine. And then we have the parameter groups that you can handle to organize your parameters. And then last but not least, the configuration of all of your parameters. It's made under parameters. It's good to know also that not all of the project members have access to this part. The project have to decide who is the project owner or the administrator. It can be all of the people that are invited in the project, or it can be only one. So because some of the people, when they log in, they will only see this part here, not this second part. So that was a webinar of the door. Very in 1 hour I will press all the information in this 1 hour, and I hope it was a good presentation and that you had a little bit of clearer mind of how BIMeye works and how you can handle the information in BIMeye connected to your models.
One question, Ima.
Yeah.
We have a question from Leah Vilkane. Can you load several projects from several BIM models?
Let me see here. Can set doors from several BIM? Yes. You can connect as many models you want to one database, but it's important for you to know that the different models have to be, if it's a Revit project, then it should be Revit models that you connect to one database. But that's the way you will see the profit in BIMeye, that you can connect different buildings into one database and you can control all of the doors for the different buildings, different complexes that you have in a project. I hope it was a good answer, but yes, to your question. I can see, is it more? So Leah, yes to that. Any more questions? So I will say thank you for me, and you have any questions, you can always contact my dear colleague Tony Iska. He will help you if you want to provide with using BIMeye or having more information. Please contact him for more information. Otherwise, I want to thank you and I hope to see you again. Thank you.